Hey guys, here we are. We are talking with another FSC coach, Adam. We have tried to do this once before, and the internet was being such a poo bum that we are now doing it again, and hopefully it will work a little bit better this time. So, Adam, tell us a little about yourself. I'm just going to shut this door behind me that I should have done last time as well, but I'm going to do it now. Take it away.
All right. So I'm one of the trainers at FSC. I've been working there for about 6 months. I studied for 3 years at Notre Dame for exercise sports science and graduated last year. I've played basketball since I was about 7 years old, so about 14, 15 years, and used to do athletics as well. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, man. So, Adam, you first came onto the scene with us when we had Christian Woodford down for his workshop over in Perth. What was an eventful time to be alive. What did you think of the Big Wood, and was that kind of like your first exposure to S&C, or because during university, I know it's not something that's typically covered that much.
Yeah, so I think we only did maybe 1 or 2 units out of the 3 years for strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
Around that time, so probably it was around that time, about middle of last year, where I really started to get into it, started reading a few different books and following a few different people, but I never came across the Wood. I was mostly looking at people in America.
The Big Wood is how we're supposed to refer to him as.
My apologies.
So who are some of those guys in the US that you follow? Because you're quite different to the ones that I've been following.
Yeah, so there's a guy, his Instagram handle is Strong by Science. His name's Max Schmarzo. He's probably one of my favorite accounts to follow.
Yeah.
It's really not so applicable for like general population, but he has a lot of great stuff for sporting populations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's another guy who's a chiropractor who I follow called Dr. Tommy John. He's that more general population side and just like really like natural health and all that kind of stuff. So I really like pulling from some of his ideas and implementing that into what would be like more traditional strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
And then there's another guy called Corey Schlossinger. He's a strength and conditioning coach in the NBA, and he's got some awesome ideas. He used to be a strength coach for Stanford University men's basketball. So that's when I kind of first started following him. So those are just a few of the guys that I follow, and definitely respect their opinions, and they put out some great information as well.
Yeah. It's one of the best things about Instagram is literally the same thing as why it's the worst thing about Instagram. There's so much information out there that, when I suppose when I was first getting into it, it was around, but now it's just ridiculous. There's so much stuff online on Instagram that it's almost impossible not to know stuff. Like you'd have to be really like sheltered in your own head to not be able to find something that can help you. What's really good, but it's also, man, there's so much information out there. It's kind of draining at some stages.
Yeah. And there's also like a lot of, it must be for ourselves, like we've obviously studied and you've worked in the industry for quite a while, so you can tell what's good information and what isn't good information.
Yeah.
But for the average person, there is just so much information, not even just on Instagram, but like overall on the internet. It can get rather confusing on what's good and what's not. So I was probably very lucky that I've stumbled across some very knowledgeable and very good accounts to begin with, and then that kind of led to other good accounts. So I mean, I could have easily gone down a completely different path and ended up with some crap information. So I was pretty fortunate to come across some good accounts.
Yeah, there is a lot of absolute turd out there, but some of those turds you can find some nuggets of good stuff. If you know what I'm saying, like sometimes those accounts you can find some really good nuggets of what not to do.
Yeah.
What's good, like that's always because you can, and like when you can start looking at you can start identifying between like like everything works. Yeah. So if you think of the thing that everything, if you work in the way that everything works, you're going to get an adaptation out of anything. It's just that what adaptation do you want to get, and how is that most specific to what you're trying to get? So, like, there's a lot of like HIIT workouts going on online at the moment, and a lot of them aren't actually like traditional HIIT. They're just like, it's just circuit training, but they put HIIT with it because HIIT's the new word, or it was the new word. Now it's just like a general word. But again, like, that's not necessarily bad stuff. It's just not applies to what we kind of do, and what we do is injury robusting, injury proofing people, longevity and stuff like that, where if you just focus on that high intensity stuff all the time, you're really going to look like you're going to start getting busted up. And there's a place for it, but you just got to know when to pull it in and how much you're supposed to do.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite quotes is probably, anybody can make you work out, but not everyone can train you. So that's what's happening now in particular as well. Limited amount of equipment, everyone's doing their home workouts. I think you guys have done a really good job, and I'd like to think that I've done a reasonable job in my programs, where it's still structured, where people are working towards their goals and actually getting something out of the training. Whereas a lot of the stuff that you see posted online is just a workout. You're not working towards a goal. You're not doing anything. The main goal is just to get sweaty and tired.
Heart
and
rate
like
up,
you
make
said,
sure you feel like you did something, instead of a process kind of thing.
Yeah, there's certainly a place for that, but within a structured program is the best way to go around it. So, I could tell someone do 100 burpees and they would be absolutely cooked, but did they actually improve from that? Probably not.
Or were they ready for 100 burpees? That's a lot of burpees.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of lower back. Like, after a while, your lower back is going to light up because you're not be able to control that plank position for too long. And you're actually going to like increase the chance of the injuries they're already increasing the chances of, because everyone's at home sitting at a desk. Like, there's not a lot more, like, there's a lot less movement now because you don't have to walk to someone's desk to ask them a question. Like, everything's online. So, like, people are going to get more sitting in their chairs. So lower back pain is going to increase, all that kind of stuff. Like, there is going to be some issues there. And if you're just making someone do 100 burpees and it's going to like on their lower back, you're probably going to light something up.
Yeah, for sure.
Prevention over cure.
Exactly.
We are the medicine of the future. I used to say that. We are the medicine of the future. And by the medicine of the future, we stop needing the medicine later. No science to back that up. I just said that one time.
Well, I think there probably is science. It's a hard thing to quantify, but it's about investing in yourself, right? So you invest in yourself now, and you live a healthier, longer life, and then you have less medical expenses along the way. So yes, some people might think it's a little bit expensive to invest in a personal trainer or invest in a gym membership, whatever it is. But the reality is, if you don't make that investment now, you'll end up having to pay that same money later on down the track, whether it's for an injury you got or a chronic disease that you end up getting. So it's about investing in yourself now so that you can reap the benefits of it later, because at some point you will end up having to pay that cost.
Yeah. And that cost will probably be greater if you haven't addressed it now. So, like, the medical bills to fix something are generally a lot higher and a lot more sudden on your bank account than the bills you may have to prevent it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about your sporting background. What are you doing, mate? What's the go? You're a bit of a basketball fiend, I've heard. When Kobe Bryant died, RIP, like, you were very sad. You almost took a week off work. So what's going
on? So yeah, I've played, like I said before, I've played basketball for most of my life. Lived and breathed it. I've actually taken a bit of time off playing it seriously this year, but actually worked out all right because there probably won't be a season this year anyway.
Yeah.
So probably a good year to take off. But yeah, no, I've played like fairly high level, I'd say, and definitely gained a lot of experience out of it. It's been good.
Yeah. So what was kind of that level that you got to? Where do you get to state? Like, because the basketball system to me is cool. I don't really get it that much. It's very different to anything that I've kind of been exposed to.
Yeah, so how the basketball system works, you've got like your local level teams, and then from those local level teams forms your district teams, and then that plays in like a statewide competition. And then once a year, for depending on the age group, they have like a national tournament, which they'll select the state team, and you go over and play in a national tournament against all the other states. So I
Yeah.
played in state team. I played in every single one from under 12s through to 18, so I was exposed to a fairly high level. And then recently was training with the SBL, which is the equivalent of like waffle for
Yeah.
basketball, I'd get. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome, man. And how's that going? How's that going?
Yeah, so that was going pretty well. It kind of got to the point where the commitment was too big for me to try pursue work as well
Yeah.
for time and effort. So that's why I chose to take this year off.
Yeah.
But hopefully I can, figure out a balance and do both next year.
Yeah. That'd be cool, man. Like, we love it. We love it when guys are playing sport. Like me and Simon were doing it for most of the time when we were starting up. So I think it's very important to have that kind of thing that you do outside of gym. Did you have an S&C coach when you're going through the levels for your basketball?
No, so there's not much funding within junior basketball. It kind of really depends on your club. And even with our SBL program, there was just like a volunteer or very minimally paid job for the S&C. So I never really had an S&C coach. I just had a close friend of mine who was a couple of years older, and he was actually studying sports science, so he kind of helped me out with a bit of gym work. Once I kind of got around to the age of 15, so I got into the gym then, but I never really had anything super structured or anything revolving specifically around basketball.
Yeah. And when you first got into the gym, what was the kind of stuff you were doing? Is it
Just
different
like
to the stuff you do now?
it wasn't like too different. I'd say like my friend was pretty knowledgeable, so he helped write programs and stuff for me. So majority of them were good, but obviously low training age, so a lot of the focus was around learning movements
Yeah.
and like basic stuff. It wasn't anything too complicated.
Yeah. It's all about nailing those fundamentals around that, that 14, 15. Well, just whenever you start, you could start at 25 and all it's about is nailing those fundamentals. Like if you can't squat, if you can't lunge, if you can't hinge, you can't press, you can't pull, there's not a lot of good at doing much else, until you can kind of figure those things out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the base where you can kind of spring everything else off of.
Yeah, for sure.
So with the basketball, is that why you like shoes so much? Because I've noticed something with basketball guys. Basketball people and basketball girls, they have shoes. I don't know why. Because I have a pair of thongs, I have my work shoes, and that is about it, to be honest. So what is the deal with all the shoes?
I honestly don't know. I just from whenever I can remember, I've always just had a thing for shoes. I've loved them, but there's definitely, I don't know what it is about the basketball culture, but there's definitely like quite an emphasis on shoes and stuff, or everyone loves shoes. So that probably made it even more so that I got into it. I don't know.
Follow the crowd, eh? Follow the crowd.
Yeah,
Show
I
us
was
your
always
shoe
like,
collection. Go on, give us a tour. I see in the background, and that's not even the half of it. Yeah. Oh my god.
Over there. So.
Have you ever thought that you could probably have a home of your own if you didn't buy that many shoes?
Yeah, well, like I always got shit from my mates when I first kind of got my license. I didn't have a car, so a lot of them were looking at me like, "Mate, you've spent that much on shoes. Just sell your shoes and buy a car." I actually ended up selling about half my shoes and bought a car. So
you've sold half the shoes.
Yeah, like I used to have. How many do I have now? Yeah, I used to have like more than double what I have now. Definitely cut down.
That's astounding. That's incredible. Let's stop talking about shoots because it's not important. Let's start talking
Yeah.
about. Let's talk about basketball S&C. Yeah. What are your main focus points when you're doing your basketball S&C?
So for basketballers, a lot of like lower body strength is quite important,
Yep.
and core stability. So although I guess it's technically not a contact sport in the sense of like rugby and footy like that, but there's still a lot of contact. So having that
Yep.
core stability not to get bumped off your line or maintain your balance. And then you've got to be careful with the plyometric work because especially
Yeah.
skills training and stuff like that, you're getting a lot of your plyometric work and you're getting a lot of load through your legs. So
Yeah.
you've got to be very specific with your plyometric work. Working on weaknesses and really what's going to complement your play style. So there's no point getting really good at a specific plyometric if it's not going to translate to how you actually play.
Yeah. I find that a lot of coaches that don't understand that concept, they focus on these drills and they go all in on those drills instead of thinking like this drill is to get an adaptation that I want. But instead they kind of just focus on getting good at the drill without like trying to take it out of that situation. And a lot of those, like everyone does a lot of bouncing and stuff like that to build up that ankle stiffness and, the bounciness. What is awesome, but like you remember, like as you said, when they're playing the game and when they're training, they are doing that all the time. How much more do you need?
Exactly. You know? So in like an off-season kind of scenario, that's when you can probably implement a little bit more. But once they get into in-season, you're probably looking at doing fairly minimal plyometric work, just enough to get that little bit of stimulus and maintain what you built in the off-season. But they're playing 2-3 times a week. They're training 2-3 times a week. On top of that, they're getting enough plyo work within training and games that are more just kind of preventing them from getting injured more than anything else.
Yeah, the bucket can only be so full, right? You can only fill up. So if your total maximal work was is simulated in a bucket, and the load that you put into that bucket is the water, at some point that's going to overflow. And when it starts overflowing, what are you doing apart from wasting time and wasting water? So it's a really important thing that a lot of coaches misunderstand is that you only have a work capacity of so big, and that work capacity is needed for just outside life is one that everyone forgets. Is what are they doing outside of their sport? What do they do within the sport that they're actually doing, and what are they doing in their supplementary training, and how are they best recovering? Like you've got to take everything to consideration as an S&C coach, because at the end of the day, you're the last person to get the praise and you're the first person to get the blame.
Yeah, for sure.
It's always the guys teaching people how to lift weights. It's always the weight room. It's never the excessive amount of something else.
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing, like at the end of the day, exercise is stress on the body. And your body doesn't perceive exercise as a different stress to you're stressed out at work, you're stressed out at school. Your body thinks everything is the same. So your body only has a certain threshold in which it can actually handle that stress. So you've got to be able to manage the stress you have from work, the stress you have from like home life or relationships or anything like that, because that's all going to tie in and affect your performance at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you're only getting better once you reduce that stress to a point where you can get an adaptation at it and actually recover. So like, it's another thing that like we know naturally because we've done this for a long time, or we've read about it, we learned about it. But like, no one gets better at training. Everyone gets worse at training. It's only when you get that proper recovery in that you actually get any better. You can't get better by in the training session. You'll enter a training session worse or better than you'll leave it. It's only that super compensation on that adaptation that will facilitate the adaptation that you need. And at the end of the day, if you're not getting that adaptation, why did you bother doing the work?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you just spin your wheels around. And it's a big thing with a lot of sports and a lot of coaches that don't understand that real concept of adaptation and why it happens. Like, you can do as much work as you like, but at the end of the day, if you're not allowing that rest and recovery time, it's not going to do anything. Like, you're wasting time. You might as well just sit at the beach. At least then you de-stress.
Yeah, exactly.
You actually, it's like you're getting more out of doing that relaxing activity because you're de-stressing from everything else in your life.
Exactly. It's all about minimal effective dose. So it's about doing the least amount of work to elicit the most of change. So if I'm working harder than I need to, then I'm only going to be able to change this much. I can work this hard to get this adaptation. What's the point in working this hard? It's all about minimal effective dose.
Yeah, it is the best couple of words you could ever say, and it's really effective. Minimal effective dose. I love that phrase. It really sums up a lot of stuff. And the problem is we've come from a culture of just work, and you'll get the results. Like, hustle grind, like, it's all that hustle grind. But like, really, you should just like hustle, relax, recover. Oh, I've made a new thing up. Orionism has been born. What did I say?
What was it? Hustle, recover. I can't even remember.
But I will play it back and we'll find it. But like, that was actually quite good. What was it? Hustle, recover. I know it's hard. Hustle, recover, adapt. There we go. That's the new thing. I'm going to put that on a shirt. Hustle, recover, adapt, not hustle, grind. Stuff the hustle and grinding, guys. Work smart. Work smart.
Work smart, not hard.
Yeah, I could have just said that, but then it wouldn't be my own thing.
Yeah.
All right, on a side note, have you noticed the Prime Minister has started saying, stay strong, stay safe, stay connected in his addresses?
No.
Simon told me this. I don't know if he's saying the stay strong bit, but he's definitely saying stay safe and stay connected. How weird is that?
I mean, it is a pretty common phrase. But
I've been saying that for weeks.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic.
The Prime Minister is copying me. Someone in our FSC support group is directly linked to the Prime Minister, heard me say it, and has told him, hey, this would work.
I think that's the only reasonable explanation.
See, it couldn't just be like someone else had a great idea. They must have stolen it from me.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty, buddy. Let's jump off this train and get on another one. As a kid, who did you aspire to be like? Like, were there some key athletes? Was there some key people in your life? Who were the people that influenced where you are now?
Oh, that's a good question. My parents is probably like the biggest influence.
Good answer. Good diplomatical answer, because they'll watch this.
Yeah. Like my parents are both very hardworking. For those of you who do know my dad, know that, well, he can't anymore, but he wakes up 4:30 every day, does a bit of cleaning, and then goes for his swim. Non-negotiable. The pools have closed down, so he hasn't been able to get up at 4:30, but he's very consistent with his work, and he if he wants to achieve something, he'll put his mind to it and really knuckle down, and at the end of the day ends up achieving it. So he's been a really good role model for me, and my mum is extremely hardworking, and they've both supplied lots of experiences for me and enabled me to become the person I am today. Yeah,
and they're both absolutely great people. I remember when I came over for your birthday, apart from your brother, I love your family. Your brother tried to poison me with whatever he fed me. Well, he does hot, spicy stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, so both my brother and my dad love their spicy food.
Your dad just laughed at me, I think, because he was like, haha, another white boy, think he could eat this stuff. And I'm just sitting in a corner just going, oh my God, what is going on? And your brother's like, it's not even hot, bro. And I'm like, you are going to cop it in a second, my friend.
Yeah.
Now, all right, we're gonna start moving this into the realm of what are the 5 things. I've been asking all the coaches this. What are the 5 things that you would suggest for your like to make sure you get your home workouts done and your health stays as good as it can be?
5 things. I think maintaining the same routine as much as possible as you had before. So if you were someone who went to the gym before you went to work, then still getting that workout in before you start, whether you're working at home or whether you're still able to go to work, still maintaining that routine of still getting your workout in before you go to work. I think that's a massive thing in it, especially for work as well. It'll help lead into your day of work and be more productive in your day.
Yeah, I think that's a really important one. It's something that will help you during these times of having to work at home.
Yeah. I think another one would be your mental state before you go to train. So a lot of people will have some sort of ritual before they go to the gym, or there's some sort of routine that they end up undertaking before they go to the gym. So say if you're someone who goes to the gym after work, so you've got your gym gear, you come to the gym after work, you've probably listened to a certain type of music or something, and then you get into the gym, you get changed, and then you start your workout. So if you're that kind of person, don't just go straight from your desk at work, whether it's at home, and then just jump straight into wherever you're doing your workout. Take the time to listen to the music that you normally would before you go to the gym. Have a little bit of a routine of some sorts before you start working out. I think that would go a long way into being in the right mental state to train.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, routine is key. Maintaining those habits that you'd normally have, I think is essential, especially if you want to train at the same time. And like, you're working at home, so there's a million distractions around. So you got to make sure you shut your laptop down. That is the end of your day. And then if you go straight to work, if you go straight to the gym after work, you go straight and do your workout straight after work. I think that's really important. No, that's 2, man. You've got 3 to go.
3 more. Another really good one that I've heard a lot of people say and that I think is very valuable is having a designated space for your workout that's separate from where you're working and all that kind of. So our brain associates certain rooms with certain behaviors. So your bedroom is for somewhere where you sleep. So that's probably not the best place to exercise unless you have no other option. And you can create some sort of space within your bedroom where you recognize that that is your exercise area. If you are able to have a complete separate room where that's your exercise area, that will go a long way to helping that mental state go into that workout. But even if it's just in the lounge room or whatever, just section off a certain area of that room that is your workout space, and that's where you always work out, and that will help keep that routine and get more comfortable working out at home.
Yeah, really good. It's the same. It applies the same for your work. You know, like you must make sure that you have a workspace that is different to your other spaces. I think that's a really important thing.
Yeah. Number 4. A lot of people think that just because you can't go to the gym, you can't make gains. That's probably not right. You know, like this is a great chance to make gains in some sort of other area. Like you might not be able to make the same type of strength gains that you would if you're squatting a whole bunch of weight or deadlifting a whole bunch of weight, but you can make gains in mobility. Like mobility requires very little equipment. You can get much better at your technique within those lifts if you still have some equipment. So shift your focus if you need to other areas that you can still make really meaningful improvements in. So whether you're really focusing on that mobility, okay, I've got really tight hips, so for the next couple of weeks, I'm really going to focus on getting those hips really mobile. And then once you go back into the gym, you've got these new ranges of motion and you will get better gains from the lifts that you were doing.
Yeah. Awesome. It's it's a case of like we have a great opportunity now to do a type of training that you wouldn't have done before to help facilitate better improvements in the training that you like doing. So for me, I don't have the capacity in my shoebox of an apartment to be like Simon and set up his own gym inside his garage. And Adam's done the same. He's got a wicked setup. I don't have that. So I'm really doing just like body weight stuff and band work. And I'm finding that it's a really good refresher for me. Also, it's a great time for me to work on my work capacity. Like it's, build that work capacity out through these like high volume workouts instead of like, I've been doing a lot of ones to fives lately. And it's really nice to stretch that out a bit. One more.
Yeah.
What is it going to be? These have been good, man. You set the bar really high. The first one you did was really like, I think Jules said drink water. So what's a really good tip, but it is very Julian to say that.
Yeah, that is a very good tip, actually.
Yeah, you can't use that one.
Okay, what have I said so far? So I said routine.
You had one about routine, separate spaces.
Separate spaces, shifting your focus.
That's it. And then the one you just did, opportunity to do other things.
Yeah.
What's the fifth one going to be?
Fifth one.
I've put people on the spot with these because I haven't told any of you guys that I was doing this to you.
Yeah.
And Simon's going to flip it when I do it to him.
Yeah. I can't think of another one. I've probably got one somewhere. I'm trying to think. I guess this kind of sort of ties into the previous point, but like novelty. Yeah. So novelty is like how you create progress. So your body will only adapt if you've got a new novel stimulus. And for this situation, this is going to be one of the most novel stimuluses you can get. You've gone from working out in a gym, you've got all the equipment, to next to nothing. This is a great chance to really work on that novelty and really make good gains in. I pretty much repeated myself in the last thing, just said it differently. But
what's a novel stimulus?
Novel stimulus? It's just like something new. Like it's.
Oh, okay, novel. Cool. That makes. Why didn't you just say that?
I don't know.
All right, we're going to wrap it up there. That's great. Cheers, buddy. Great to have you on. I know you're not as much of a talker as me, so you did a really good job there. I hope everyone back at home got something out of this. It's been really good. Adam, what's your socials, mate? Shout it
out. So you can follow me on Instagram at Komatsu. It's KOMATSU and then 2 A's.
Did you just forget how to spell your name?
Yeah, I did.
For anyone who doesn't know, it is down the bottom of his screen. Just add something on the end. You just add an A on the end, don't you?
Yeah, so 2 A's, I think. Yeah, 2 A's.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's pretty much it, isn't it? Instagram for you. You're a fresh puppy. You only have the modern modern one.
And my Facebook page, but it's the same stuff. So yeah, whichever your preferred social is, I guess.
Yeah. All righty, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. As the PM would say, stay strong, stay safe, stay connected. But he wouldn't say this because he's not cool like us. But #be formidable.
Formidable.